Alright, so let's begin with this. This is supposed to be a blonde, so there's going to be a minor color correction here. When you have blonde, blonde is not orange. This is redhead. When we're talking blonde, we're talking a yellow that is tilting towards green. So this is the blonde you really want to work with. When you have a redhead, you have more of the reds. So you have something over here. There's a way more delicate difference between blonde shades and strawberry blonde shades or redhead shades. Blonde by definition is a very green yellow, almost white, almost lack of pigmentation. And that's pretty much the color you want to be working with right now. It's a little more green, and blonde can't be blonde unless the values are high enough. So it looks green and it looks too green. First, because of the color corrector, it's kind of a little temperamental thing. And second, because your values aren't high enough. So in order to have yellow, can anyone answer me this? Can you have what value? Which part of the value spectrum does yellow sit on? Yellow. Well, I can just answer it right now. It sits up here, really close to no man's land. So when we're talking about color, we're talking about color in two different degrees. We're talking about the grayscale of a color, and we're talking about the actual hue of the color, the true hue of the color. The grayscale is what you have to learn if you want to perfect your color use. You have to paint in grayscale for a while for you to learn how to appreciate different kinds of colors together. So what I'm doing is I'm going on the base layer, and I'm going to go actually into shadows, not midtones. And I'm going to raise all the shadows up. Oh, whoops, wrong fucking layer. God damn it, Photoshop. And I'm going to raise all these values up from shadows. Protect tones is off. At that point, it'll start to look a lot more blonde. Blonde needs a grayscale value that is relatively high, or else you will get brown or puke color. Nobody likes puke on hair, unless you're into that. And then we've got the value. Sorry if you hear my cat howling, she's in heat. You've got the highlight value on the value level, not on the color level. And then you've got blonde. Now this is blonde. This is not such strawberry blonde as I mentioned. If it is strawberry blonde, the only thing that's moving a little bit lower on the value scale, so it's not so pale. And more red, of course, on the hue slider. So this is one big thing you had trouble with. She's not really blonde here. She's red-headed, orange-headed. Here she is blonde. What did I do today to this painting so far? Can anyone explain the gist of what I just did? Let me read what you guys are saying. Don't blame the cat. Whose drawing is this? I'm not sure. It was posted on the community website, so I'm not sure. So can anyone answer what I did today? Sorry, I slurped on that. Chapa and Gooba says I dyed her hair color. Yeah. Talking boys and talking husbands and talking family, talking boyfriends, especially the boyfriends. Musico, change values. Hazuki, adjust value. Upping values to achieve blonde. Troisième style. Tresemme, oh. Raised the shadow values and added more highlights and corrected the color. Push the values up to fit the yellow nature. Raise the values in the hair. Some color correction. I raised the value, added yellow, green hue instead of orange yellow. Yes, blonde only and yellow, basically yellow as a color in its prime, exists on a really high scale. It exists in whitish yellow. Sorry, that's the washing machine. So in order to get yellow at any point in time, if you have to draw a yellow dress, or if you're painting your grayscale drawing and you know for sure that this shirt that your character is going to be wearing is yellow, remember to keep the value higher, else it'll look horribly muddy. Alright, moving on to the core lesson of today, I guess it's surfaced, which is the sculpting the roundness of the head. It'll be short. I won't take too long. I wish you didn't add glasses. I wish there were layers, but let's work with what we've got. Let's see if I can. Yeah, that's not gonna work. All right, let's see. So what we need to see here is a real separation of the altitudes on the face. So this means that we need at least some hint of the fact that the nose dips before it rises up again into the high points. We also need a more focused core shadow for the roundness. You see this, the sphere of her head. You see the roundness of it. There needs to be more of a suggestion on what's really happening, so that these cast shadows and these lights here all are reinstated as the high points. If you don't have enough of a dip, you don't prove that this is the high point. You need to prove that it is. This means that at the core, at the most basic. See, my cat's at it. Ossie! Shush! So this is the sphere of the head, and let's say a light is shining on it. We have shadows running across this way. So then you get your ZBrush tool, and then you do a little dip here, and then what you get is the shush. You get the shadows of the eye socket and the dip of the nose, meaning that when you turn the head from the side, the nose dips and then comes out. That's basically what I'm trying to illustrate here. Oh my god, fucking maniac. Stop! She's trying to find a guy. She's howling so that... Oh, I see! Stupid cat. Yeah, so this shadow here is really, really important because this is what's left over. Here and here is left over, meaning that when we turn the head from the side and look at it again, this area and this area are all high points. If you don't do enough work on these shadows, you will not get the benefit of these. You get lazy with your shadows, your highlights will not work as highlights, they'll work as midtones. Meaning that let's compare where it was before and where it is now. Before, ignore the hair. After. I'll fix the extra the shadows here. Of course, there's always diffuse. It's not a single light. It's a bright room, so it wouldn't be this dark around the areas here. There would be reflection, diffusing this. But look at what these read as before, midtones, and now they read as highlights. That's what you want. You want every color you use to be an efficient exercise of the grayscale value. You don't want to have too much of a you don't want to use too many grays to achieve something so simple you could have achieved if you blended correctly. So I'm bringing the light spots back in. The side of the chin is something of a light spot. Over here, the cast shadow on the eye. Please don't forget this. Eyes do not bulge out that far. If they do, you'll notice it. And you will not call it human. Okay, we need to see the actual trace of the cast shadow. So the footsteps of a cast shadow are in its edge, the way it sits on top of an object. Sometimes if the light is far away, that cast shadow line becomes blurrier. And that's something you want to do if you're drawing female characters. You really want to soften up any harsh shadows that are extending too far, hiding most of the beauty. But of course you still want to show off some form, so showing a little bit of sharpness in the cast shadows will go a long way. And because of the way you shaded everything, there is a hint of a nose shadow that's missing here. Because the nose protrudes, the nose is part of the highlights. As I said earlier, these highlights need to act as highlights. These high points need to act as highlights. So meaning that this part of the nose here should have casted a shadow. If it's not casting a shadow, it means that it's not a real nose. It was painted on, and from the side she looks like Krillin. Okay? I don't know why they drew him without a nose. I don't know what the point of that was. But, whatever. And I'm just blending this at the bottom of the lip here. And that's really the core of what I mean to critique between this and this, is those big contours that you create when your brush is largest. So when your brush is largest, you block in. It's called the blocking in stage. You block in the most important parts of the image. Now, I've been using this a lot, and I've been forgetting about using it, but I will not forget today. It's an amazing GIF that explains what blocking in is all about. Get ready to have your minds blown. Let me find it first. Okay, so I probably already showed you guys this, but this is how you guys should be painting. First of all, you should be sculpting. And second, okay. Second, you should be, in your blocking in, anticipating the largest shadows that you will be detailing. Your brush shrinks and eventually you deal with the detail, but you cannot possibly deal with the detail unless you've established the large the construction lines, the large, not lines, the construction blocks. If you don't bring in the material, you don't have anything to paint on. You have to bring in the large general shapes, the most basic polygon. And that's when your brush is largest. That's why we always tell you guys to work large to small. Because you can't do this kind of blocking in with a tiny brush. You're going to go straight into the lashes 5 minutes into the painting. If you ask yourselves, do I go straight into the lashes 5 minutes into the painting? If you do that, you know you're messing up somehow. You should be starting with a large brush. And this shadow in between here, this is kind of a Grecian kind of beauty, so you don't find noses like this very often. But the traditional nose, I guess, has a bit of a shadow in between it. You got the large socket of the eyes. And then most importantly, you've got this massive beard of a shadow that everyone's always missing, the beard. You guys do not forget that. It really tells a story about what the contours are doing with the anatomy of the face, the organic geometry. Bends inwards towards the chin. The chin gets thinner than the forehead. We need to show this spherical side of the cube that is the head. That's what your large brush does for you. So this is a problem that stretches over countless students. Everyone is not paying attention to their use of large brush. Everyone always goes straight into the small brush. You guys want to know why you do that? You do that because at one point or another you worked with a pencil and your pencil was small and you felt like you had control, and that's how you trained yourself and introduced yourself into the world of art. With a pencil that was small size, it was small brush. You didn't work with large brushes when you were in kindergarten. No one gave you a large brush and a bunch of paint. So you had no concept of how to put together or block in the concept of a three-dimensional subject. That was just the farthest thing from your mind. All we had were lines and anime to guide us through what we drew and how we drew it. I'm just desaturating the hue. It's a bit too pronounced. So before, after, before, after. Let me try to keep it the same kind of face so she was a bit chunky on her cheeks this way. Let me just push it in. And please, 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 for me, if you love me, don't forget the cast shadows of the glasses. You need to look up a really good reference for that. Keep the beard here, jawline, shadow here. If you guys have severe problems with your sculpting, there is always form studies. Jump into those for a little while, for a week or two. I mean, even a day will change the way you draw forever. You need to learn form for form's sake in a safe environment where you don't have to worry about making it pretty and making the colors match and making everything work together. This is a sculpting problem on the form level. It has nothing to do with whether or not you can paint a pretty girl. Alright, same thing here. The light source, so this kind of nose is a bit more masculine, so the nose is a bit more robust, I could say. So I'm going to place a very gentle shadow in between the eyes. But it's still needed. The cast shadows here, large brush use. This bit of the lips right here, stuff, you lose detail when anything sits under a shadow. And you have to make sure your shadows in your large brush stage all have the same temperature. You had different temperature shadows in different places. You need to not do that. You need to make sure that you're using the darkest dark only where there is a true depression or a true angle difference between the angle of the light source and the angle of the face that is the dark. This means that this whole area should be the same shade of shadow, and this is only stuff you can do when your brush is largest. And once you know for sure that this is the dark spot, this area here is the dark spot, you bring in the large brush and slowly introduce a darkening shade that's even darker than the dark shade you've used. Don't go bringing in shades here and here and here and here and here, but you get away with it because it's all in the shadow area. This is wrong. This is the same face with the same skin sharing the same light source. The temperature of the shadow should be the same. If there is a severe drop suddenly in the temperature of the shadow, meaning the darkness of the shadow, there was a hole in his face. Basically, like he has a hole in his face. That's why it's that dark. Or pigmentation loss. Or pigmentation. That's the only explanation for why suddenly things just get dark for no reason. If there's a severe, sudden, really sharp 90-degree edge depression in the skin, in the anatomy, in the skeletal level, like if you got like punched in the face or something really hard, or the pigmentation. So the areas that do get light, you have to think about the cube first and foremost, what the cube is doing to reveal these areas. So the top area of here, the cast shadow here is going to be a bit stronger, but it has to be the same temperature, so you got to make sure you keep it light. Then there's the reflected light shining back up from the cheeks. Look at my brush. Is it shrinking? You can't possibly give yourself a good reason to zoom in and start working on the details if you haven't spent at least 30 minutes to an hour on this phase. It all goes into this. All those amazing artists that you guys aspire to be like, look at their process. The brush does not shrink. Constantly having to talk about this because it's one of the most important things to learn in your journey. Letting go, zooming out, zooming the hell out. Not even zooming in. Feeling, even to a point where you feel queasy zooming in. To that level. I'm just going to cut the neck off real quick because it kind of is awkwardly placed in there. And I haven't worked on any detail. The eyes are still a bit big for male eyes. Again, you're not going to get it right away, so this is what I critiqued yesterday. I'm critiquing it again because this person's really close to their 14th day. This is day 13, I think. So I do want to give these challengers some attention. Okay, so let's look at the before and after. First, before I do that, I just want to show you the head is divided into cubes, into a cube. And these outer areas here, if the light is shining here, you're going to have to think about the fact that this side is going to get the light first. But it isn't a perfect cube, of course. It's chiseled in, just like we saw in that GIF. So with your brush, you have to make sure that you're bringing in the light isn't coming from the side here. Unfortunately, it would be cool if it was. It is kind of for this guy. That's why you see the light only on the side of the cube of his head. And the same thing here. It kind of moves to the side, so the light starts here on the side that's facing the light source this way. Same with the forehead. Okay, so filter, sharpen, because I used a softer brush. And I'll look at your questions in a second. Right? So these shadows work exactly the same to tell the same story as these, but here you've brought in really sudden dark shadows that feel like this is the only light source in the whole room. Meaning these shadows will only get this dark if the room was way darker than this. So the gray in the background has to be way darker for him to have this kind of shadow on his face. Because it means the environment isn't letting any light come in a bit higher. And this means that the light source is closer and smaller, meaning casting sharper shadows, which would explain why these shadows are so strong and why the room is so dark. The light is too small. So we would have to have way more contrast just around here when we block these areas in. Right, but this is not the case. This is not how your painting was painted. your painting was painted with a gray background, which means we have to balance all of our shadows to match this gray background. It's not that big a jump, and we made sure all of our temperatures were the same, meaning they spoke the same story about the light source. I would think if you want to detail, bring in shadows when you have to shrink your brush. You basically bring them around the areas that really are edges. Oissy! Get off! Ugh. She goes to her litter box. She comes back like covered in litter dust. It makes me asthmatic. Go away! What? No, 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 no pets. Get the hell out of here. Go, go, go! Alright, what else? Kettle is hot. She's jumping right over it. What a freaking daredevil. Yeah, I think that's it. The nose shadow here should be a little bit sharper because it's getting closer to the light source. This has a shadow in it. If you want to bring in detail, you shrink your brush basically around the major contours and your opacity goes back up. Block it in. This is how I would bring detail in. Bringing in these subtle depressions that need a smaller brush. And when I really want to work on like the lashes, that's when when I bring in some detail for the eyes, that's when I'll zoom in. But other than that, that's the only time. Also remember, keep your eye spherical. You have some major edges going on here. That's taking away from the believability and function and the anatomy of your image. Before, after. Yes, let me see what everyone's saying. Yeah, it's on the website. Go to istebrak.com, go to community tab, and scroll down to the FAQ, and you'll find information on your on the 14-day challenge. Yeah, but you fix what issues you find by using the critiques you received. You received. Oh. Welcome, Crazy Slayer. Thanks for coming by. You missed the before and after. I'm sorry, Harper. Isolate your problem, whether it's lighting or proportion or anatomy, and solve it by means of study. Then you'll be a master in no time. Excellent. That's efficient studying. You're focusing all your study energy on one topic. For sure that you're going to be improving on that topic. Heavy breathing. I'm kind of glad she skipped me now. What was your thing? Big nails? Can we request vids? Of course you can. Alright, so let's talk about this one here. This is a photo reference. I'm probably going to need the photo that you used, but by just my eye only, I feel like you overdid this area here. I feel like this needs to be pushed in a little bit. This area leads to a bone. So most likely this area is going to be way more of a pronounced depression here beneath her lips than what you've drawn. You've drawn it as if it's padded by fat. And that area is one of the areas where you really don't collect fat under your lips. You collect it just around here until it sags like that. So that's why that's just kind of popped out at me before anything. Remember not to ruin your silhouette when you're bringing in highlights. Rim lighting like this comes because there's tiny little hairs sitting on the nose, or there is extra oil there because you're nasty and you don't wash your face. So that's pretty much the only reason why you would have rim lighting on anywhere on the face, is if a tiny micro texture is carrying that rim light across and you see the side, you see the silhouette of that texture as the light travels over, and you're on the umbra, you're on the shadow side, the eclipse side of it. Also, the nostril does a bit of a dip. I still need to see a reference, but I'm making a guess that that's not what it does in the photo. Pushing the nose in a little bit as well, just by guessing the kind of face she has. Pushing the lips in. And I'm going to grayscale it. I think your colors got in your way because once I grayscale, you'll kind of see what you did wrong. The temperatures change drastically across the image. I'm sure the chin doesn't really do this because the chin sticks out. You're telling me The chin and the bottom of her jaw are sharing the same temperature of shadow, even though the chin is completely outside, saying hello to the world, and not blanketed by a wall of hair, and it's almost sticking out as far as the nose, and it's sharing the same shadow. I don't believe that. I think that you kind of misread your values a little bit. Over here as well, the shadow, one of the high points of the head, is sharing the same shadow as the socket shadow. Still, I'm skeptic. I think I'm just going to lighten that up. And once I do, the image will make a little bit more sense. I feel like the forehead needs more of a pronounced shadow here. Take a look at your reference. I might be wrong. It might just be like one of those things where it's particular to the kind of face and the kind of lighting that might have used secondary lighting. Still, the shadow wouldn't hover here or here. These are like principal rules that just don't happen. I'm kind of trying to make it seem like if there is any light to be gotten, the eyebrow bone would also get some of it as well. The lower eyelid, I feel like there could be space for it as well. And the space in between the nose and the cheek is visible to us on this angle. We see that little space here. So it might be there. Take a look at your reference. It might be there in your reference. Sides of the lip, if she's wearing makeup, there will be a sharper edge. If she's not wearing makeup, please don't bring in shadows that are not from that area. The shadow of the lower half, that beard I was talking about, starts beneath the lips. Everyone write back what I said. So meaning you don't get any of that extra shadow on the top. It starts down here. So if you have anything to say about the spherical face, the spherical undershape, it would be below the lip. And I'm just throwing in some shadow around for the hair. The hair will stop the light. The neck feels a little bit flat. You might want to work on that. Look at the reference. And for now, since you're still learning how to sculpt, you're using this reference. You're on the stage where you're still learning how to sculpt. Please don't work in color. It's only going to slow you down. Beneath the lip here is a little bit dark as well. Almost as dark as the depression of the neck as well. Like unless she has blood coming out of her mouth or unless she got like soot or something, it would not happen like that. And I'll show you the before and after and you'll see this is all early brushwork stuff when your brush is largest. This is what you look out for. Top of the nose. I don't think it would have this kind of shadow, even if in the shadow stage. I think the tip of the nose as well. Lighten. The only time this kind of sudden shadows happen is if you have depressions or you have discoloration. Bottom of the chin is too fuzzy. I think that was my doing. Anywhere where there is bone, you need to make that edge sharp. Anywhere where there is bone. Anywhere where there is like soft skin, make that edge fuzzy. So the lip can be a little bit fuzzy. But nose tip, this area can be a bit fuzzy too. Lips, a little bit on the chin, a little bit on the forehead. Eyes, no. Forehead, no. These are actual bony areas in the face. So let's take a look at everyone's shadow of the lower half of the beard starts below the lip. Excellent. Filter, sharpen, and sharp mask. Before, after, and let's grayscale this so the before and after is focused only on. So before, after. I feel like this is more coherent. The light source speaks a more direct language. Of course, I still need the light, the reference so that I can really make an educated guess. So I don't have to make an educated guess. But the lips sticking out, the lower half of the chin sticking out, the upper half of the chin, lower bit of below the lips sticking out, the nostril drooping below. All of that was kind of stuff you can see without a reference. Those blotches in the skin, I feel like she got makeup and just smeared it on her face. That's the only way this would read on camera like that. You really have to do a lot in order for that to happen. Gave the bone structure a little bit, made it a little bit more pronounced. So this, right now I'm just freestyling it, just to make sure I have some bone structure on her face. Just like that. A little bit on the side here where it gets darkest, and then it slowly dips completely under the blanket of hair. Alright, the lightest spot, the light spots would be this moving down. These would be the light spots. Alright, so this is what you would illuminate, this is what you should look out for in your reference. Always look out for your light spots in your reference. They are the signature light spots on the human face. So they're what you will see first. Okie dokie, people. Oh, I see. Go away. No. No. She wants to sit right on the tablet. Oh, damn it. Get away from my mouse. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Cat invasion. Okay, she ran across the house. Fucking weirdo demon possessed. What am I doing here? Alright, I flattened it. Save. No, I will not let her. Right, meow. Okay, so yeah. Let me look at what you guys are saying. You only want to win what you need to win. What? I need to win all. What brush do you use for smudge tool? It's just a scatter brush. You can find so many online. Or just get any brush and turn on scatter on your brush settings. Go to scattering and turn it on. Put it on pen pressure, put it on anything. For form studies, should I just draw cubes and spheres? You should make them a little bit more sophisticated, because what they do is they get you ready for still lifes and faces and landscapes, so those come in all kinds of shapes. So you have to make sure you're trying something new and challenging. You're supposed to be challenged. Arper, if you're not planning on breeding your cat, I suggest sterilizing it so it won't suffer from heat. I do plan on breeding her. She's really expensive. Really, really unique seal point Himalayan, and I got her for a lot of money, and I want to breed her, and I want to see her kittens. So that's why I'm not neutering her. And it only happens in the fall. She's zero heat from like December to probably September. She's like no heat. Yeah, anyways. I don't get what you guys meant with the use shapes and not lines for values. It's kind of it's kind of like an extensive lesson with regards to the shapes versus lines thing, the edges versus lines. You would have to look through my videos to catch one of those. How many layers would be typical for this type of study? One layer. Crazy Slayer 187. You need only one layer. That is all you need, baby. Filter. Still feel like it's a little bit excessive. If you guys want your copies back, please send me a message on Facebook. I will give you the copies back. This poor cat a boyfriend. You can pick up any color reference and grayscale it on Photoshop. There's some good color images out there that you can try and grayscale. Don't limit yourself. This fascinating thing is that your copy will be the representation of how you see the original. yeah, it shows where your tunnel vision is, where you're limited, where your vocabulary is limited. It really is an amazing study to do photo studies. Yeah, I get very frustrated with layers as well, jumping in between them. I only do that when I know I'm going to need layer separation. But other than that, I work with one beautiful layer, or two tops. The background, I usually separate it. So, like, unless there's, props that I know I'm going to be editing, like jewelry, filters, that kind of stuff, the Photoshop stuff. But for the real rendering work, the whole body, face, hair, portrait is all in one layer, the portrait proper. For this image here, I feel like all I need to do is this, and everything will be nicer. Here you've gone too light. This is like daytime. This is blacked out in Walmart, but one of the main lights is on still. Kind of shadow. We're seeing a full moon out there, and this is nighttime. So I feel like the only thing I really need to do is kind of just darken the values this way. And after I do that, I brought down the midtones. You need to bring in the lights only where there is. I've talked about metallics before. You only can bring them only where it is hottest. This means that the metal here is only going to shine its brightest when it is that surface, that particular angle on that shape is facing the light source directly. So that this part, I don't know how to explain it without drawing another shape. Let me just do this and then I'll explain. So meaning not every part of this little doohickey on his chest, not every part of it is going to be facing the light source, only some of it. And that's the sum that you shade, that you highlight. Same with the face. I'm going to get burn tool on the face and I'm going to bring these values way down, because it's only going to get illuminated only where he is there. This way it makes sense. The dominant light source of the entire image is the moon, and he's wearing reflective material. So this is going to make sense for his character, that he is illuminated mostly on his back. I need to bring in more of this. Oh, I see. I need to bring more of this in around here. And around his arm, around his back. No. She's trying to do that truck dip. You know how cats like dip over, like topple over to the side? That's how they pet you. Hey! Let's do some more. We're on this side. That's basically the core light source. So, trying to make it seem like this light source down here is stronger than the moon, you're not going to get that. Unless that light source was like a floodlight and the moon was like a tiny little thing. But look at how large you drew the moon. You're making a statement with the moon. And that's why it's got to be a little bit lighter. It's got to be the dominant light source. If they are challenging light sources, what you will get is a clash. If the light of this sublight down here somewhere is that strong, oh my god, she's trying to topple on top of the table. No. Okay. There would be a shadow clash here, so it would be darkest around here, and then you get the secondary light source here. I have a video on that. Secondary light source. Just search that up in my video search and you'll find it. Get your little paw off the keyboard. As for reflective material and the way it acts, like an overall effect, anything reflective acts like a mirror. So it'll reflect light back efficiently. So this means these areas here, these areas, probably if his eyes, I'm not sure, all these areas get reflection back. So you were a little bit light for the environment. You didn't really show us that in a light environment that you understood thoroughly. I suggest you keep the palette consistent as well. You have like this yellow going on against the blue of the sky. That's not going to work. For dark images, especially for dark images, you need a general wash. The wash is over the entire image. And that's the color that you go with. So let's make it a different color so that can show where it touches. Alright, let's just pretend like he's in like the red light district and he's about to kill some prostitutes. This light would affect anywhere where it touches, so just around here, around here. So this is how you trace back what the secondary light source is doing. In that app that I'm working on, you guys can change the color of the secondary light source. So you can track it down and see where it's going to be, where it's going to happen. So in that app, what I mean is you guys choose the light source and move it around, right? The secondary one, any of those light sources can have their own particular color. So it's a great educational tool as well. If you guys want to learn what happens to light sources, secondary light sources when they clash over primary light sources. It's amazing to be able to track that down and give it a specific color that pops out. And that's something you guys can definitely do. Even if you don't want to have a secondary light source, it's definitely a great exercise on form. It'll be released soon, I promise. Oh, see, can I have the mouse? Wow, she's so focused on the mouse. She has to know what I'm doing with it. Are cats the real secret on becoming a good artist? Can you please zoom in more? Is the quality that bad? That's I zoom out, sorry, when I paint. I'll try to be back next stream to show my results. No problem, Nunu Mac. Is it working for me? Oh. Kill some prostitutes. So much motivation. That's not what you do with the prostitute. That escalated quickly. Only in GTA. Bye, Nunu. Thanks for coming. Bye, Chappa. The image looks so much better now. Gosh, bye. So yeah. Just mind if you get to it. These abs. Yeah. So yeah, let's take a look at the before and after. Oh, see, oh my god. Before, after. You need that high contrast. You were way too gray. You know what I mean by like Walmart that missed one light? Or like you're in your room but you turn the lamp on in your room, but your room is really not that dark because it's like 6 o'clock outside. Well, not our 6 o'clock because it's already fucking dark outside, but like equatorial 6 o'clock. If that makes sense. Before, after. Okay, lots of stuff today. This one I'm not sure I have time for because it's figure drawing and it's perspective. Only thing I can suggest to you is you have a really dramatic pose, a dramatic character. The expression is really saying something, but you have kind of a pastel. Can you guys hear Ossie purring? You little freak. I'm sorry. But you don't have a dramatic lighting. So what we need to do is just give it some dramatic lighting. So I'm just going to get on multiply and darken the lower half. And just keep darkening it. And this way you have an excuse to make her eyes glow. And bring in some rim light. Because it's really just a very friendly light source. Kind of just like gray, fall. Santa's coming kind of light source. Midwinter, and that's nice, and it works. And I love this image. I love the see-through silhouettes here for the trees. But did you guys hear her? Did you guys hear her purring? Yuma, 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 yuma. You're so cute. I love you. I love you. Sorry, she's being so sweet. No, it's not an excuse to come over here. See, she's so bad. She takes advantage of my friendliness, and she thinks it's time to mess around. Not on the keyboard. Okay. Exposure. Make the eyes a little bit more glowy. No! You're such a bad girl. Don't listen to anyone. And high points like the... Oh, damn it. You know that guilty look they have? I'm sorry, I'm just a crazy cat person. The light spots on the face, I'll get a little bit illuminated as well. just so that you can show off the face a little bit. So that you can create a distinction between them. I think that works very well. And that's pretty much my suggestion. Try to make it so that the sky, like you can track down where the light source is coming from the sky. So maybe the moon is like right there. And if the moon was right there, there would be glares, so her foot would kind of be distorted against the glares. No! Oh, I see. So curious. Should have named you George. Before, after. Do you see what I mean when I say the light source was kind of non-dramatic? Because it was just all consistent grays. Now, we're trying to give it some drama. We want to always give drama. And this is kind of something that you could have done. You could go lighter if you want to, but I do want to see that you're trying to have some sort of, think on a cinematic level. Presentation is really what it's all about. Let me get my mouse. She actually plays with the mouse as if it was a mouse. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a great day. Bye-bye.